Hi everyone, I'm Coach Greg, and today we're going to talk about exercises that will help you develop your pecs. In this video, exercises will be analyzed exclusively for hypertrophy, not for the development of strength, as well as I will analyze the technique of exercises and basic mistakes. And before I show you the best exercises for working out the chest, I want to ask you to subscribe to the channel and put a like, as your activity motivates me to make more interesting videos for you, as well as write a comment about the topic that you want me to deal with. The main function of the pectoral is to bring the arm to the body. The chest is divided into several segments to which you can shift the emphasis. It is the top of the chest and the middle of the chest. You will say there is the lower chest, but I want to disappoint you. It cannot be emphasized properly, but it works perfectly well in all pressing movements. In fact, you should not think about the lower pecs, but about the upper pecs, as it is poorly developed in most people. The first exercise will be the dumbbell bench press at 45 degrees. We're going to work the upper pecs. Dumbbell throwing is a very important element in this movement to keep your shoulders healthy. The dumbbells should be thrown from the knees in order to make a great leverage and to fix at the top point. Put the dumbbells on the edge of the knees and throw the body and knees, or throw them alternately, so it is even more comfortable. Make a natural flexion of the spine. Bring the shoulder blades together. Do not keep your elbow at the same level with the shoulder joint, otherwise you will get an injury. A little hint: if you have a shoulder injury, dumbbells should be held parallel to each other. This position will be natural for them. The elbow always goes at an angle, so the load will go to the pecs and not to your shoulder joints. We keep the angle at the elbow plus or minus 70, 80 degrees, and don't bring the dumbbells overhead. We simulate a barbell bench press so that the load is always on the pecs, but you can also bring the dumbbells together. The second exercise is the hammer strength chest press. It is also one of the most effective exercises for working the pecs, but there are also mistakes that many people make. The worst mistake in the hammer press, which will kill your shoulders, is incorrect seat adjustment. How do you know if it's set up wrong? You've sat too high if the handles go below the bottom of your pecs, or you've sat too low, which is even more injurious to your shoulder joint, as your elbow joint should never be at shoulder level. Otherwise, the humerus is planted on the collarbone joint. The correct position of the exerciser is when you have your elbows going at an angle, and also the handles are level with the bottom of your pecs. In addition to this, remember to make a natural flexion of your spine and bring your shoulder blades together to minimize stress on your shoulders. The next exercise will be incline barbell bench press. The biggest advantage of this exercise is that here you can progress very well in working weights, and this will positively affect the growth of your pecs, but it also has its nuances. Lie down on the bench so that the barbell is at eye level. Make a natural bend of the spine. We rest our feet on the floor. Bring your shoulder blades together. Under no circumstances should your elbows be at the same level as your shoulder joints, otherwise you will get injured. The elbows always go at an angle to shift the load from the shoulder joints to the pectoral joints. Lower the barbell to approximately the center of the pecs. Keep the angle at the elbow plus or minus 90 degrees. Also, if you have shoulder pain when stretching the pecs too deep, you can lower not to the end. In such an amplitude, it will also be effectively worked out. The next exercise will be the pec deck fly. This is the exercise where people make the most mistakes. The first mistake is the position of your seat. Too low adjusted seat. Because of this, you will work your shoulders and injure them. Sit so that you have your elbow joint below your shoulder joint, but to further minimize the stress on your shoulders, bring your shoulder blades together. Also, make a natural flexion in your spine. Mistake 2. Put your elbows behind your back. You won't stretch your pecs better, you'll injure your shoulder joints, especially when you take the weight off and start the first repetition. Set up your trainer so that your elbows are level with your back. By eliminating these two worst mistakes, you'll be able to train your pecs in the butterfly effectively and safely. And the final exercise in this top would be cable flies. This exercise is one of the most challenging in terms of technique. If you want to work your pecs, you don't need to stand in the middle of the crossover. Take a step or two forward. Since we're pumping the chest, your job is to make your arm and cable go in line in proportion to the line of load. That is, you don't need to pull your arm too low, and you don't need to pull too high to avoid injuring your shoulder. And once again, the arm and the cable go in line. You don't need to hunch over, you need to drop your shoulders down, roll them back, and bring your shoulder blades together. And hold that position throughout the entire movement. This is the end of my top. It is worth remembering that if you are a beginner, you should not do these exercises in one workout, but if you are a more experienced athlete, you can do 3, 4 exercises from this list at a heavy workout.